Hi guys, it's Fallon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I kind of have a montage of, I believe, 3 roles kind of combined together. So it will be 2 white belt males that I'm rolling against, and then I will sprinkle in a little bit of Bobby because according to the comments, you guys just can't get enough of him. Alright, let's get started. So right off the bat, I was in a single leg X and I had my hands wrapped around the ankle, even though he is a white belt, so I wasn't going to straight ankle lock him. Sometimes I like to just have my position so I know that it's there. And I did a sickle sweep to come on top. And right away I start pushing his ankles down, that way to ensure he can't get any type of grips with his feet, such as a lasso or foot on the bicep, and I automatically go into a knee slice position. And just one small detail I wanted to point out to you guys. See how I punch my arm down at his hip? I do this so he can't hip escape or crunch his knees to his chest, so he can't regain his guard while I'm passing. And to make sure I really secure position, especially from competing a lot, I usually go directly to north-south rather than side control. And right here he pushes into me, so I take advantage of that and throw my leg over and go for an armbar. And one thing I could have done better here is to glue my heel to the side of his neck. That way it prevents him from turning either way and gives him less of a chance to escape. So right here I go for a speed pass where I just put my foot over his guard directly on his hip and then just rotate away from him so I end up on knee on belly. To secure the position, I always make sure I'm pushing his knees down, that way he has less of a chance of recovering his guard, and I just try to create a lot of pressure on top of his sternum, which isn't enough sometimes because I am a little bit on the smaller side, so he is able to turn into me, so I have to revert back to going to north-south. And right away you see me trying to isolate that far side arm as much as possible, trying to get a straight armbar or a Kimura or Americana depending on which way he turns. I felt as though the arm was at its maximum point of pressure, so I ended up letting go because I don't want to hurt someone, especially when they're first starting. Sometimes they don't understand the exact moment when they're supposed to tap. So here I did another speed pass, taking an outside step and bringing my inside foot in, going to knee on belly and windshield wipering my feet to get into the mount position. And my mount is a little bit different than other people's, I would say, because I float on top rather than trying to really bunker down and stay on mount. As you can notice, I keep my hips very wide and my legs spread out far apart. That way I can just ride the wave as people try to bump me off. So now I'm going to go for a lapel choke, so I throw my lapel over, grab it on the other side and make sure that it's nice and tight around his neck, and I rotate towards the head all the way to the other side of side control. And from here it kind of depends how tight your initial lapel grip was. If it's super tight, you probably don't have to do anything else. If it's not quite that tight, you can take your other hand and put it underneath the neck and start to cross face him the other direction. And if that still doesn't work, you can apply pressure with your knee on their neck along with the lapel choke. Man, Bobby's really trying to steal the spotlight here by going in front of me while filming. Typical Bobby move, so I'm going to zoom in and cut him off. So from here, I was an inverted De La Hiva, rotated all the way underneath him to try to take the back. I grabbed the belt and was about to launch him up so I could take the back. However, he landed with his forearm on my neck, so I ended up letting go of the belt and he turned into me, so I ended up losing the position, which means I am back in regular guard and I'm trying to get my hooks for either a scissor sweep or a De La Hiva hook if he decides to put that knee up, which he does. So I sink in my De La Hiva hook. He's leaning very forward, so that hook is a little funky looking, but I thread my leg all the way through and do a backwards roll right into the mount position. And right away I'm going to start isolating that arm once again. Whoop, cameraman decided to go to Bobby. Bobby is looking for a Kimura. Person's turning into him, so he just keeps rotating, ends up giving it up, going back to side control. If I was the guy underneath him, I would have let Bobby finish the Kimura, because being in Bobby's side control is potentially the worst thing that you can ever have happen to you in your life. And the funny thing is, I'm not even exaggerating. You can ask anyone at my gym that and they would agree with me. So Bobby looks like he's just about to finish a regular armbar from side control. And he gets the submission, so he stands back up looking for a takedown. Bobby loves standing up with people. So it looks like there he went for a high crotch into a double leg. I don't do takedowns, so I'm nervous for him to watch this because I've been taking his wrestling classes and I might have just disappointed him there by saying the wrong thing. So hopefully that's what the position actually was. Sorry, Bobby, in advance, if you are listening. Alrighty, so back to me. So I'm standing up to pass his guard. And I'm doing another speed pass where I just take a big outward step to the side of his body and go directly to knee on belly. I typically lose the battle when people are pushing me away. So as you see, I put my forearm across his neck just to irritate him a little bit. That way he focused on my arm, so I was able to windshield wiper across his body into the mount position. And for my submission, I was able to get a cross collar choke. And as you can see, my initial grip is very deep inside of his lapel. Then I bring my other arm to the other side of his face and drag my elbow and forearm across his face so I can easily get my second grip. And then I just squeeze and try to bring my forehead to the mat so my whole body is creating pressure on top of him. So next he is trying to pass my guard, so I end up inverting and just putting my knees to the floor, basically looking for some type of triangle, omoplata, or armbar, just depending how he reaches inside of my guard to try to get rid of my legs. However, time runs out, so we unfortunately don't get to see how this one ends. So moving on to the next role, this individual has been on my channel before. He is the 5'9", 150 pound white belt I versed around 4 months ago, so I will link that below so you can actually see his progress between 4 months and now. So right off the bat, he is trying to pass my guard. He goes on both of his knees, which is a good choice because he's locking down one of my legs in the process. He is leaning slightly forward, so that allows me to get a deep underhook and navigate my inside leg that was under him to the hip, so now I am in single leg X. He is applying a lot of pressure down onto my hips, so I am struggling to get that inside leg underneath him. That way I will be able to push him further away and manipulate his body more. So now that I have that inside leg underneath, I am going to start pushing and pulling to try to off balance him a little bit. I dropped the foot that was on his hip to the inside as well because I was trying to do a stand-up single leg. However, he was doing a good job at defending that. So I have to try it again, and I'm really trying to stretch my legs out as far as possible so I can do a technical stand-up into a single leg. And right away I lost his leg, so I started regretting my decision immediately because he was previously a wrestler. So I'm trying to sprawl on top of him, and he does a sit out, which makes me fly over top of him. I was hoping I was going to be able to get mount, but the overhook he had on my bicep was so tight he was able to come all the way on top. So luckily here I was able to close a triangle, but he's still applying a lot of pressure forward and down, so I'm not able to readjust my triangle. So I'm kind of just in a very uncomfortable position where I am basically inverted, all of the pressure on my back and neck, while trying to find the space where I can rotate under and actually complete the triangle. So here it's really just kind of a waiting game. As you see, I'm making small adjustment after small adjustment, trying to ensure that my legs are locked tightly as possible. I'm really trying to pull that arm through to create more pressure on his shoulder area, while simultaneously just trying to alter my body to where it needs to be. So right here I was finally able to push my hips all the way down into basically a sprawl while stretching his arm across his body so I could complete the triangle. So now he is standing up to pass my guard again, and right away I am trying to get 4 points of contact on him because he is pretty quick and I don't want him going around my guard. I'd rather him have to try to go through my guard. So he pins my feet to the floor, which is a good way to get around my open guard. If he's able to pin both of my legs to the floor while sitting on top of them, he is able to reach his arm on the inside of my hips all the way across my body and pin my hips to the floor as well, which would be a good way to get side control on me. Which is why you see me trying to get my legs to the outside of his body. That way they don't go in between his legs, because I know that that's how someone typically passes my guard. But we ran out of time, so that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the mats next week. Also guys, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and if you guys like any of the outfits or products that I wear and use, I also have an Amazon storefront that I will link below so you can go ahead and check that out. Alright, bye guys!